Censor Stu, reporting from Sang-Si, Poland's recent actions, including significant military investments, suggest they are adopting a wartime posture. They recently signed a contract with Korea for K2 tanks, and are expected to soon become Europe's strongest military. Today, let's take a closer look at this topic. First, let's check out the latest news. Hyundai Rotem has signed a $6.5 billion, 9.13 trillion won, second export contract with the Polish Armaments Agency for K2 tanks. This contract will provide the Polish military with 116 K2 GF tanks, 64 K2 Poland tanks, 31 armored recovery vehicles, 25 armored engineering vehicles, 25 bridge-laying vehicles, and various training services. The K2 GF tanks are scheduled to be delivered between 2026 and 2027, while the K2 Poland tanks are expected to be handed over to the Polish military from 2028 to 2030. In 2022, Poland agreed to acquire about 1,000 K2 tanks, around 670 K9 self-propelled howitzers, and Chunmoo multiple rocket launchers. Moreover, to address the Russian threat, they are currently executing a plan called Eastern Shield. Allow me to explain it. Since the war in Ukraine, the use of drones has increased significantly. In fact, drones are currently one of the main weapons used in airstrikes. So they are developing systems to block these drones and deploying them throughout eastern Poland. Along with that, they are also installing anti-tank barriers, preparing to stop a possible Russian invasion. The Polish military is also working to bolster its defense industry capabilities, with reported support from Korea in this area. Hyundai Rotem will work with Poland to set up assembly lines for K2 Poland tanks and related vehicles. 61 units of the K2 GF tanks are planned to be produced in Poland. Poland is preparing a new 40-page safety guide booklet for the first time in decades, outlining procedures to follow in case of war. The Polish government plans to distribute the guide to its citizens on July 21. This booklet contains detailed instructions on how to secure clean drinking water, what to do in case of an air raid or blackout, and how to find air raid shelters. Poland plans to distribute this booklet by September, and English and Ukrainian translations will also be provided. Printed copies will be distributed to all 14 million households across Poland. Poland's current defense budget is 4.7% of its gross domestic product. This is a very high figure for peacetime, ranking 7th in the world. Russia, ranked 5th globally, spends 7.1%, while Israel, ranked 2nd, spends around 8.8%. Both countries are in active warfare, so their high percentages are understandable to an extent. However, Poland is not officially a country at war, so the fact that it maintains this level of defense spending shows just how great its sense of crisis is. This figure is not just a plan, but the actual amount being spent. There are even open discussions about raising it to as much as 5% in the future. As a single nation, it is increasing military strength at an unparalleled pace since the Cold War. Of course, such a rapid military buildup inevitably comes with funding issues. Even within Poland, some politicians and economic experts continue to point out that military spending could become a burden on long-term economic growth. Concerns exist that social welfare and educational infrastructure budgets may face relative cuts. Despite criticism, the Polish government insists that security takes priority over peace at the moment. South Korea's defense spending is currently 2.6% of its gross domestic product, the 13th highest globally. Ukraine, currently at war, has the highest defense spending as a percentage of gross domestic product in the world, at a staggering 34%. Considering all these comparisons, the fact that Poland is voluntarily accepting wartime-level defense spending is a clear indicator of how real the sense of crisis they feel is. Looking at these aspects, you can see that Poland is quite serious about preparing for war. Poland is making extensive preparations, even more than South Korea, which is in an armistice with North Korea. Why is the Polish military so serious about strengthening its military power? It's because the security situation in Poland and Eastern Europe as a whole is on the brink of war. After the war in Ukraine, European countries have faced a security crisis from Russia. Since the Cold War ended, their military power has diminished considerably as they cut defense spending and increased welfare investments. But when Russia suddenly invaded Ukraine, it was determined that Russia might attack other European countries as well. Consequently, several European nations have begun rearming themselves. Poland, which borders Belarus and Russia's Kaliningrad, must have felt this threat even more acutely. Poland is rapidly boosting its military strength. Poles are openly stating that a major war is imminent, prompting the need for advanced preparations. Prime Minister Donald Tusk of Poland is making these statements, not just news panelists. During a meeting with citizens in Fabianaś, Poland on July 26, Prime Minister Donald Tusk stated that NATO and United States assessments suggest Russia and China are preparing for a world war in 2027. He also stated that a large-scale military conflict between Russia and NATO member countries could occur in 2027. In the case of Poland, as explained earlier, it is adjacent to Russia's Kaliningrad and Belarus, so if Russia invades Europe along with the Baltic states, it would be one of the first places to be attacked. Belarus and Poland are currently in conflict over refugees attempting to cross the barbed wire border fence. Russia and Belarus are deliberately sending refugees to Poland, escalating the conflict over this refugee crisis. The relationship between Poland and Russia is gradually deteriorating. Recently, Poland claimed that Russia has been continuously attempting sabotage in its country, so Krakow closed the Russian consulate, and Russia also closed the Polish consulate in Kaliningrad. As tensions escalate between Russia and Poland, the latter seeks to swiftly bolster its military might due to time constraints. Poland chose to partner with Korea for prompt weapon supplies, and Korea has begun to profit from this collaboration. Korean weapons, while not the world's best, offer decent performance at an affordable price, attracting buyers like Poland. The low cost is attributed to Korea's unique circumstances. After the Cold War ended, countries around the world began to reduce their military power, and they also started to decrease the number of weapons factories. Consequently, these nations couldn't mass-produce weapons. However, due to the ongoing conflict with North Korea, Korea had to maintain its weapons mass production capabilities. As a result, Korea sustained economies of scale. Korea can deliver weapons within months of purchase, unlike Germany or France, where it takes years to receive weapons after buying them. Since Korea can supply weapons quickly, Poland needed to rapidly strengthen its military power, so they chose Korean-made weapons. In addition to Korean-made weapons, Poland is also acquiring high-mobility artillery rocket system M1A Abrams tanks and F-35 fighter jets from the United States. They are also attempting to purchase large amounts of armored vehicles and drones from domestic defense firms. Poland has signed contracts worth around 12.2 trillion won, excluding Korean and American weapons currently being contracted, demonstrating their significant military expansion. There are even projections that by 2030, Poland will have more tanks than Germany, France, Italy, and the United Kingdom combined. If Poland acquires the tanks as planned, by 2030, the number of tanks they possess will increase to 1,100. By 2030, Poland is expected to have more tanks than the combined total of 950 in the United Kingdom, Germany, France, and Italy. With Turkey's 2,238 tanks and Greece's 1,344, Poland would rank as NATO's third largest country by tank count. Poland strengthened its military power for two primary reasons: the National Army Support Fund, operated by the Polish National Development Bank, and the European Defense Fund made it possible. The National Army Support Fund is a separate national fund from the defense budget, established to bolster Poland's military strength. The European Defense Fund is a program where the European Union uses a large fund to collectively purchase weapons. This has allowed Poland to rapidly acquire a substantial quantity of weapons, despite its economy being weaker than other developed nations. However, it is not without issues. It's the maintenance cost. For example, the annual operating cost of the F-35 fighter jet that Poland is planning to purchase is 4.78 billion won. Since they plan to buy 64, they'll need over 300 billion won annually. With many other weapons, managing them all will be costly. Poland is buying weapons from multiple countries, not just one. This leads to additional costs due to varying weapon systems, control methods, and operating procedures across the different countries. As a result, there are concerns that Poland's extensive weapon purchases may harm its economy. Poland, however, is continuing to strengthen its military power without paying much attention to these concerns. Poland's military buildup is seen as an effort to not only enhance its defense, but also to alter the foundation of European security. Within NATO, Poland is emerging as Europe's frontline base. Unlike Germany or France, which prioritize diplomacy, Poland believes military strength is the true preserver of peace. This movement is also affecting neighboring countries. The Czech Republic, Slovakia, and the Baltic states are revising policies to expand military capabilities, contributing to a trend of increasing military tension in Europe. The impact of this decision on European peace or potential conflicts will depend on future international developments. Poland is evolving from a weapons buyer to a nation aiming to lead Europe's defense strategy, driven by strategic assessments and a keen understanding of threats. The world will soon witness the results of this change firsthand. Right now, Poland is acting as if it is on the brink of war. They are massively increasing their military power, which could mean that the threat from Russia is right at their doorsteps. What are your thoughts on Poland's military buildup? Share in the comments below. Thanks for watching.